Alright, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another video. Today's video, I want to talk about diminishing returns. I just asked a friend of mine called Electro, who also happens to do some content every once in a while, and he likes to play with me, how we would explain diminishing returns to new players. And obviously, like a little doofus that he is, he actually got me more confused than what he actually explained at all. So, I'm here to help you all to not fall in the same mistake as he did, and to not allow you to just keep playing this game without the knowledge, all right? Like being ignorant, okay? So I'm gonna help you out, every single one of you. I'm not saying that he didn't know it. A lot of you probably know that it exists and you know that it sort of works, but some of you don't even know how to explain it. You don't know the science behind it, so you just agree with it and that's it. I could tell you, for example, there's been situations where diminishing returns were not working in certain situations, and because we knew the basics for it, we managed to talk to the developers and tell them this isn't working correctly, and they fixed it for at least 2 to 3 times already that I had to actually talk to them about it. But today I'm here to teach you all about diminishing returns. So first of all, we need to understand what diminishing returns is. Diminishing returns, it is essentially, let's say, an equation that prevents you from stacking a bunch of the same effect multiple different times and just simply put a flat value on it, right? So you got 50% damage reduction, then you get another thing that gives you 30% damage reduction, then you get another one that gives you 20% damage reduction. So 50 plus 30 plus 20, you would say that's 100% damage reduction. Incorrect. Ignoring diminishing returns outside of this game, maybe you can say that it's 100%, but in reality, and even in certain advanced degrees and etc. on college, university, so on, you will learn about this. It actually starts from the biggest value to the smallest one, and every value that you start adding up will not be affecting the initial value. It will affect the newest value that you created with the first effect. So essentially what I'm saying here, and dumbing it down for you guys, the first one will cut 50%, right? So I take a 1000 damage shot and it will cut 50% damage of that 1000 damage shot. So pretty cool, right? Now the 20% after that I will put on top of this. First, I'm not even going to use the 20%, I'm going to use the 30% because we always start with the biggest one all the way to the smallest one. So the 30% is not actually going to affect directly with the 50%. No, the 30% is now going to affect the newest value. So we created a value which is 500, right? That is the newest value. So 30% of 500 is not the same as 30% of 1000, all right? It's a lot less. So 30% of 500 is 150, meaning that in reality, if you were to grab this 30%, put it on top of the 50%, and you wanted just one value without having extra maths or anything, in reality, this 50% plus 30 would actually become 65%. And you're probably wondering, what? That's because in reality, the 30% of 500 gives you 150, and 150 to the 1000, which is the original value, is actually 15%. So the 30% actually became 15%. There's another equation that I could actually go and search for it online. I remember using that equation a lot, but it's kind of complicated. It would essentially be something like, you say 30% of is to 500, the same as x is to 1000, and then essentially you would do the entire multiplication, then division with one of the values, and it would give you the final value, which would be 15%. And therefore you could then stack it up on top of the 50%. But because that's all so complicated, and you probably don't have the time to do that in the middle of the game, and you're probably thinking this is super confusing, I actually have a website that was done by JC Kalk, I think, and this was done back in 2019. The person actually goes in great detail here to explain how diminishing returns works. And not just that, but he also put a calculator to help you do this without having to worry about the math whatsoever. But giving you the exact example that I just said, let's put here the first value to 50%, then the second value to 30%, and as you can see here, This is the new final value. 60%. So there's something here that I'm missing, because I'm guessing that I forgot to mention one little thing here, which is, in reality, you can never go above 100%. You can't even reach 100%. You can only go all the way to 95%. So I'm assuming that this is why it is not 65%, as I said, and it's a little bit less. I think that's a little extra rule on top, but just because it's already complicated as it is, and I don't want to blow your minds, let's just say that it's similar to that, but with a little extra rule that diminishes it even further, because you can only go up to 95% and not 100%. Okay, so there you go. So imagine now that the other 20% that I mentioned after, which would all together would be a total of 100%, in reality, we've reached 65%. So what conclusion do we get here from this? First of all, this is a good thing, all right? This is very good, and many games have this feature. This is good because, you know, people could just abuse certain loadouts, certain items from the store, certain talents, and etc., and just go over 100% values and have, for example, CC immunity entirely, damage reduction just all the way to 100% or plus, and that would be very hard to fight. So my suggestion to try to avoid losing all this, right, is that if you already have a lot of damage reduction, maybe don't consider buying Haven. It's a bit too expensive to then just stack on top of the current damage reduction, which you already have, which is a lot. Perfect little example here. Vatu used to have 75% damage reduction on his dashes, right? So if you could time it correctly, having Haven would actually not help you at all. I mean, let's say that the 75% are here. The value of a Haven goes up to 18% on max. So we have a total of 7% damage reduction. No, sorry. 2.5% damage reduction. That's how much credits you just spent on full Haven. 2.5% damage reduction. So if you have a lot of damage reduction, please don't consider getting more, okay? It's not really that good. Now, this goes for a lot of different things. It's not just damage reduction. This also goes for example, CC reduction, like the item suggests of resilience. Although, be careful, reveals are not actually CC, unfortunately. So that has nothing to do with it. For example, also, reload speed, right? You got reload speed, you get 50% reload speed from an item, imagine, and then you got a rage just slamming you with the card that gives you reload speed with the little healing ability of hers. It's not actually just going to be a flat value again, it's going to be exactly this right here. So if you're curious to what values you can actually pull off with certain loadouts, talents, and even items, or just combinations from you and other people playing other characters, you can come here. This link will be in the description, all right? And you will be able to do this math all by yourself. However, there is one thing that I need to talk about, which is movement speed. Movement speed actually goes above the 95% gap and actually goes up to 150%. First of all, this means that you can get more than the other values because as you saw there, when I did the 50% plus 30, it didn't actually give you the value that I said that it was going to give you. It gave you less because the max was 95%, so it diminishes a little bit even more, even further. Now with 150%, this means that it's going to diminish it still, but less. So, perfect example. I'm going to go here. I'm going to put the 50% that I said before. Whenever you're ready. There we go. And then the 30% that I also mentioned. And as we said before, 60% would be the final value, 6 point something, but it's so little that it doesn't matter. Now, there is a question here. Is this for movement speed? So if we click it, it automatically became 66%. So because the max value is bigger, it means that every diminishing effect is actually weaker, right? So allowing you that if you stack multiple different effects of speed, it actually doesn't lose as much due to diminishing returns. And diminishing returns will affect pretty much everything you can think of, from damage reduction to CC reduction, reload speed, lifesteal. Okay, all of this gets effective for diminishing returns, so you don't go over certain values, because that would just make the game completely busted. However, there have been situations, for example, where this is actually not true. Let me give you an example here. I believe this one is still active. I might be wrong, might be proven wrong right now, so let's hope not, because that would be me making a fool for myself without actually having to show you any gameplay, so that's quite a treat. So if we go here with book, let's say, for example, that we have here a loadout where we're going to clean this up, going to edit it, clear it all up, and there's a couple cards that give you life rip. That's right. You got a card here that gives you 60% life rip. Nice. Then you got Rapid Sustain that allows you to stack up even further heals if you're below 50% HP. And if we take a look into the rest, I don't think there's anything else with similar things here. Doesn't seem like it, no. So I'm just gonna put nothing, whatever. Just gonna put this, this, and this. I'm gonna put 3 points in there. So now we have a total of 60% lifesteal. Then we also have 25% increased healing when I'm below 50% HP. And we're just to make sure, we're just gonna put that card, and then we're gonna get 30% lifesteal. So 30% plus 60% would be a total of 90%. And if you do count the diminishing returns, that means that it wouldn't be 90% specifically, it would be a lot less. Now, I do have the other card that increases the HP that you also do, that you also get from below 50%. So let's see how much HP you get. I did a 700 shot and I just got healed for 788. So you can see here what I'm talking about. This goes above the 100% for some reason. I don't know if it is because of the other card, it ignores the limits, but it does do that. All right. Now, this isn't a very viable thing to do because I don't know what I just did. I just created multiple different casting spots. Okay, I don't know what I just did. I'm recording a video and I just managed to break the shooting range, ladies and gentlemen. Sure, whatever. Let's leave. But this is a perfect example of something that is actually broken, and actually knowing that diminishing returns is a thing and how it affects and how does it work. Sometimes it will be enough for you to spot certain bugs, like that one, for example. Diminishing returns should not allow that to happen. Independently if you have the card to receive more healing or not, this diminishing returns should still cap it at the 95% that it's meant to be. So this is why I want to teach you guys about this, so that you can spot certain situations, or I mean, you can just use it yourself, right? Like you can think, okay, I got this champion, let's say I got an aura with like a 65% damage reduction. So should I go for Haven or should I go for Veteran? Well, the best choice to get the most value out of those credits is actually Veteran, because you'll get more HP, as to where you will be able to apply that damage reduction more effectively across the entire HP bar, right? So that's a lot better. If you are to go and just buy the Haven, it's not bad. I mean, you're still getting extra effect, but do understand that at certain values, it'll be so bad. Like the one that I gave you the example of Vatu, which, by the way, he's been nerfed. That's not the damage reduction he has, but is so bad that it's not worth it. You just wasted a crap ton of credits, which, by the way, they increased the price of Haven a long time ago. It's just, it doesn't work well. You're wasting a lot of credits, you're wasting time, and one of the best strategies in this game is to actually build credits and build ultimates. So you wasting credits like that is literally just tossing away the win. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You now know what diminishing returns is, or at least I hope so, that you understood what I said. But in dumbed out terms, diminishing returns essentially prevent you from stacking up values flatly and just get absurd values on certain effects. Instead, you're gonna have to use biggest value to smallest value, but each time you add the new value, you're gonna use the new final number that you just created from the previous value, okay? So it's a bit confusing, but you know, with time, if you start looking at certain numbers, and if you take a look into the calculator that I will be leaving, again, the link in the description, you will be able to understand this further and understand why certain times certain things will not happen. Also, I want to say one final thing before I end this video. There is one thing that I don't really understand. How does it affect it, or why does it work like that? But apparently Rejuvenate actually cancels a portion of Cauterize. Now, I'm going to be honest, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because Rejuvenate should be affecting the amount of heals you're going to receive, and Cauterize should just essentially say, hey, out of all of that, I'm going to cut this much. So I don't understand why, and I've never truly understood this. I would have to search even further. I truly don't understand how you can grab, for example, let's say 20% Rejuvenate and then just cancel like up to 15% of Cauterize or something. I know that that is still somehow diminishing returns, but they're actually fighting each other. They're, you know, nullifying each other when it doesn't really make any sense. Rejuvenate should work first because, you know, it's increasing the amount of heals you get. Or even if it does happen later, if imagine you were to be healed for 1,000, you got 90% Cauterize, and you're now only going to get healed for 100, and you get Rejuvenate to boost up another 30%, it should heal you only for 130, because that's 30% of the final number. That's how I think it should work. But for some reason, that's not how it works, and I'm still trying to figure that out. And that's not the only thing. That's not the only thing that counters Cauterize for some goddamn reason. Cards like the Pip card, this one here, I don't actually have it. Moxie. Cards like this one, which is similar to the one I showed you on Buck, and Moji also has this, Terminus has this, Makoa has this. These cards actually also counter Cauterize, believe it or not. So you could be very tanky at late game, even against 90% Cauterize, with this and Rejuvenate and a good healer. I don't know why, but it's a reality. So there you go. Do with this information that I just gave you whatever you want. Come up with new tactics. If you have an explanation to why that works like that, I'm all yours. Go down in the comments below and let me know. But at least for the diminishing returns, there you go. Again, check out the link. If you want to read the text, the explanation by the person, the original creator of that blog post, then go ahead and just good luck in the future, have fun, and that's it. See you guys next time. Till then, have a wonderful time. I'm out. Bye-bye.